Hey there, hi there, ho there, hello there, and welcome back to another exciting edition of the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour podcast, where we discuss the joy and excitement of UofL women's athletics with you each Saturday here at 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time, or whatever it is. I can't keep it straight, but it's 11 o'clock right now. And welcome to the broadcast. A lot of fun stuff to talk about today. But, good news in women's soccer, volleyball, field hockey, and we'll also take a little bit of a look at women's basketball as well. As a kind of a smaller than normal crew today, but we have a very solid and very good crew. And Case Hoskins, Jeff McAdams, and myself, Paulie. So let's go ahead and kind of do our introductions and catch up with the guys. Uh, Case, you missed a good volleyball game last night, pal.
Well, I missed it in person. I did.
Yeah.
I did turn it on. I missed the first uh, 7 or 27 points or so. But I brought good luck. They were down 10-15 when I turned it on.
I was
Or
gonna say
they were down.
missing the
They were
first
down.
five wasn't bad, but
Yeah. I'm glad you
Yeah,
missed the 7-1 stuff. Yeah.
yeah. I turned it on whenever. Well, I was prepared to turn it on, and then just kind of it slipped my mind while my iPad was charging. Um, and turned it on, and Pitt was calling a timeout when Louisville made it 13-15. So I brought the good luck and turned it around from there. So yeah, I took a much needed day off yesterday. That was nice. Um, and looking forward to the next few weeks of work being a lot less stressful than the last few. So
Well, good deal. That's good to hear that things are going to lighten up for you a little bit. And I was just curious, since you were actually watching the broadcast, how was the announcing crew? Were they pro pit in this thing? Some people were saying they were. I didn't get a chance to hear it. So, what's your thoughts on that?
well, I didn't get a chance to hear it either. I watched it on mute. So
Oh, okay.
I was I will often subject Lindsay to watching sports with me, but I am taking her to the Seahawks and Bengals game on Sunday. So I thought
Oh,
that
nice.
would be sports enough for her. So I we were watching something else on TV, and I had the match pulled up on my iPad, just watching on mute. So
Well, there you go. So, the answer still was out there. But Jeff McAdams in the house as well. Jeff was out there last night at the KFCM Center with me and Sonia and Jared watching the contest live and in person. Jeff, what a crowd, huh?
yeah, it was a good crowd. Not quite as big as the Kentucky match, but that's to be expected. The big Kentucky rivalry. But what was 11-6 something maybe
Yeah, 11,
around.
almost 11-5. Yeah.
Yeah, 11-5. Okay, around in there. Yeah, so 11 and a half or so. Good crowd. Upper deck was open. The energy was good. It was nice where I was, where my seats were. The next section over was about half filled with alumni, so various volleyball alumni. So I got to spend in between cheering about half of the first set, wandering around, just chatting with past volleyball players that I hadn't seen in a while. So it was great.
Fantastic. Yeah, a lot of they. I saw the picture Gwen Rucker was back in.
Yeah, Glenn Rucker, Brooke Mattingly, Lola Arslanbekova was there. Some of the more recent ones, Tori Delfer, Amaya Tillman. Of course, Maya's in Louisville still, working with the athletic department, so we see her a lot. Alexa Hendricks came back in town. And then, Natalie Palastro, Alexis Hamilton, Mia Stander, Amanda Green, Jasmine Biddet. There was a huge group of about
Yeah, it was
10 to
impressive.
15 of them
Yeah.
sitting together. Yeah. So yeah, there's a bunch of them. I can't even remember who all it was at this point, but yeah.
They brought them all out to introduce them to the crowd. I think it was that in the third set or
Yeah, it's between in the set break, I think, between the second and
yeah, in the
third. Yeah.
set break. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it was what a number that showed up for that. It was good
Yeah.
to see them all.
It's a good crowd. Yeah.
So a very appreciative crowd.
Yeah. There were
As
also some sort of represented there, like Claire Chaussee was not there. She's playing Athletes Unlimited, so she's in Arizona right now. But her parents were there, so I got to speak with them, and also the Anna Stevenson's parents were there. So it's nice to see them back in town as well.
I'm thinking Katie was probably not there either.
No, she's off probably doing a football game somewhere.
Shit, she's probably got a football. He's probably calling the Memphis game. which I'm sure would excite
Yeah, I
her
don't
to
know. I
death.
saw where she was earlier, but I don't remember now. But yeah,
A good deal. As for me, kind of an uneventful, kind of weird week for me. I had a routine appointment scheduled as part of my ongoing kidney transplant preparation. They wanted to do a cardiac cath on me just to check the heart at, and I said, fine, no problem. You'll show up at 6 a.m. We'll do it at 8 a.m. You'll probably be out of there by 11 a.m. No, it didn't turn out that way. They had a hard time sticking me to begin with. They finally got the thing in me, and when we're up and checking it out, and the doctor who was doing it said, "You've got some significant blockage in here, son."
Mm.
I'm like, "Oh, well, that's probably not good, is it?" He goes, "Nope. I'm gonna have a couple recommendations for you. I'm gonna turn it over to my cardiology team, and we're gonna keep you here for observation just to make sure you come through this procedure okay." So that was fine. First of all, you never sleep in a hospital, okay?
Mm.
You don't.
Yeah.
There's always somebody coming in to either draw blood from you or check blood sugars or take your blood pressure or this, that, or the other thing. I even had the minister stop by to see me, which I thought was kind of weird. But, it's just like, do you know something I don't hear? Come on.
Yeah, that's a little off-putting.
Yeah. Like, well, why are you doing the last rites over me? What's up? So, unfortunately, it was sprung from action on Thursday and was able to get out and back out into the living world again. And I mean, actually, I feel pretty good, but it did answer a couple questions I had. Why was I running out of breath so quickly? I
Yeah.
said, well, blockage in your arteries will do that to you, sir.
That will.
Okay, that clears that up for me. And so, gonna kind of see what next step procedures are. I mean, they've discussed everything from doing just an open heart clean out and going and doing it that way to putting in stents. There's a couple other options on the table. They're going to analyze everything that they've collected and the tests they've done and all. And then at my appointment in a couple weeks from now, we'll discuss all that. So the good thing is, no, I did not have a heart attack. There's a couple of people erroneously thought I might have. It was not that at all. It was just a simple procedure that became a bit more complicated due to the complications within my bodies. So there we go. But I'm back with you and feeling pretty good this morning and ready to have a fun show. And, we always have a fun show when we go through scheduling and Twitter. With Jared out today, moving from his apartments complexes to his house, along with his dear wife Katie. We're going to have Case Hoskins step into the scheduling Twitter chair and bring us what's going on.
Boy, I've never done this before.
Yeah, first time for you.
Yeah. Fun. First time for everything, right? So we look at today. We got some events actually not ongoing yet, which is a bit of a surprise for Saturdays.
Usually you get like a cross country or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, some kind of rowing or fall ball for softball, something like that. But yeah, men's tennis is in Chattanooga for the ITA Ohio Valley Regional Championships. So I say nothing's going on. That might be happening already, but who knows? Louisville versus Pittsburgh in football. Looking for a 2-0 record for the Cards athletic program over the Panthers. That one is at 6:30 tonight. It's Louisville's, I think, first game on the CW since the ACC network, or not ACC, since the ACC's regional broadcast partner became not Fox Sports South.
Yeah, I saw that
Yay.
listed.
Hooray!
And all the
hooray for
people
that.
cheer. Yeah.
Well,
If you-
apparently the CW broadcast is not great. So,
Oh, is it red blobs versus blue blobs?
well, no, not the quality so much as I think I saw a video clip from a couple of weeks ago where there was just your potentially not so sober uncle like wandering through the kitchen in the middle of something. There's just a guy like in the background while they're doing like a coming back from commercial with the two broadcasters standing there talking. There's a guy just walking through the set, just doing whatever. So I don't know. It's the CW.
Hey, where's that spinach dip?
Yeah, who knows? But that one's at 6:30 tonight. Also tonight you got women's soccer with a not so common Saturday night match. They are taking on Boston College on ACC Network Extra. That one's at 7 p.m. We'll talk a little bit more about women's soccer later. Not out of the running for the ACC tournament somehow.
Very surprising, but yeah, like I
Mm.
mentioned, a glimmer of a hope if we can keep winning somehow. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's Saturday. Moving into Sunday, field hockey. Oh, sorry, that's next week. Let's look at Sunday the 15th, not the 22nd. Women's golf is at the Mercedes-Benz Intercollegiate Tournament in Knoxville, Tennessee. Men's tennis continuing their event. Field hockey with no rest for the weary after their loss on the road at Duke yesterday afternoon. They'll host number 6 Iowa at Traeger Stadium. That one is tomorrow at noon on ACC Network Extra. And then also on ACC Network Extra will be volleyball hosting Virginia at 1 p.m.
Hopefully that doesn't become a trap game.
Yeah, that one is at L&N Federal Credit Union Arena, not at the Yum Center. In case anybody had any doubts whatsoever.
Yeah. We're done. We're done with the KFC Yum Center until postseason. So hopefully postseason.
Yep. Monday, women's golf, men's tennis continued their events. Tuesday, women's golf continues. Men's soccer takes on Oakland in Rochester, Michigan. So that one's on the road. Wednesday, the 18th, men's basketball will host an exhibition against Simmons College. That one is at 7 p.m. And women's tennis will head to the Ohio Valley Regionals, which are in Knoxville, Tennessee, which is not necessarily what I would consider to be part of the Ohio Valley Regionals, the Ohio Valley in general. The 19th, women's soccer heads to Clemson, South Carolina. They'll take on the Tigers there on ACC Network Extra at 7 p.m. Friday, it's a busy week. Friday, field hockey hosts Syracuse at 6 p.m. in Traeger Stadium, and volleyball is on the road at Wake Forest at 7 p.m. No video listed for either of those, but I have to assume both will be on ACC Network Extra at the very least. Shockingly, there's nothing listed for next Saturday, so don't even have to mention any number or any ongoing events that'll happen when the broadcast is on. So that gets us through scheduling. Seeing a M or WBB event listed on the calendar is alarming. The year's just flying by, it feels like. Already mid-October. But I believe the 16th? Is that right, Paul? Or is it the 17th, the women's basketball tip-off luncheon?
Yeah, the actual luncheon itself, I do believe, is the... I wrote about that the other day, too. Let me see if I can find it.
That was the 17th, but that's just going on my memory, so that could easily be wrong.
Either Monday or Tuesday.
It is. It is on a Monday. That's right. It is because I had to make some arrangements so I could get there in time for it and do something in terms with my dialysis. I had to kind of bump that up. So I'll be in there at the ungodly hour of 5:30 to have that done and then go to lunch afterwards. What a great Monday morning, huh?
Yeah, at least you'll be hungry.
I will be. I will be hungry, and I will have been without coffee. So, yeah, that's going to be kind of like, sit me down. I don't want to talk to anybody. Where's the damn coffee?
So that will happen early next week. Men's basketball had theirs earlier this week, and then there's no. Correct me if I'm wrong. No listed women's basketball scrimmages this season.
No, that there aren't any scrimmages.
They'll play some closed door ones, I assume, that we just don't know about. Super secret kind.
Traditionally, what Walls will do is he will bring in a couple of close associates at other schools, coaches, and just kind of have a free-for-all scrimmage with them. In past years, he has done that with UC. Well, guess what? UC's our first one on the schedule for the season.
There, I assume.
So they're probably not going to be with them because of Michelle Clark heard of history and all that. He's also been known to bring in like Tennessee Tech. I think they've done EKU before.
They went up to Ohio State a couple of years ago.
Correct on that as well. But no, nothing really scheduled like that. They are tentatively planning the Women's Basketball Media Day on the 31st case of October, and Halloween, of course. And Walls will dress up as a vampire and come in and suck the blood out of all the media. Tim Sullivan first.
It's also the first day of the ACC tournament for field hockey.
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of a busy day there for sure. But uh, it'll be an interesting kind of thing because after the Walls does his about 30 minutes of preamble for the season and such, they take us out and we get to interview the players. I think there's 7 new players on the roster this year, guy.
It's a bunch.
Yep,
Yeah.
that
So
sounds right.
I'm hoping they have name tags because I'll be walking around going, "Hey, I remember you. You're Marissa Russell, right?" No,
I
damn.
was when I was at the facility. I was at the Cooper Center last week for a potential project over there, and I was walking around. All the women's basketball players were there, obviously, because that's their practice facility. And men's basketball, were just like, why are people walking through our locker room? Like, please go away. The women's basketball players, all very nice. I couldn't tell you any of them. Any of the ones that I saw, couldn't tell. Even the ones that were on the team, I'm not very familiar with their faces. So I was just like, hello, yes, good to see you, yes, hi, yeah. but uh, but yeah. So I was in the same boat, Polly, as not knowing anybody there.
Yeah, my favorite is whenever I run into Kenny Payne and while we're telling tales, all Kenny ever does is like smile at me and smile down on me. Like he knows me from somewhere. I've never met Kenny in my life, okay? I don't cover his sports, but he always has this big goofy grin on his face. Just, how you doing? How you doing? And I guess maybe he thinks I'm a Virginia Tech guard from years ago that he beat up or something. I don't know. But
Better, maybe he's just a nice guy,
maybe Kenny just loves Cardinal Couple and we don't
Yeah.
know it and could be reading it, So anyway, it's a lot better than the haughty attitude of some of the previous coaches we've had in men's basketball. It's nice to be nice, refreshing, and depending on who you talk to, we had a really good red and black scrimmage, guys. But that's men's sports. We don't care. Give me some scheduling and Twitter information to continue us out here, Case.
Yeah, so schedule wrapped up. I got a little sidetracked. That was all on me. Uh, it took us down the wrong path. As for Twitter, it's just easier. My brain is just gonna keep saying that. Tweet is best case scenario, BST case scenario. Paulie is at Cardinal Couple. Jeff is at Card Couple Radio and at Jeff McAdams, and Jared is at Mr. Anderson Jared. Daryl's at Daryl Fast 4. You can always follow along. I don't even know that she tweeted much about their vacation this week. So
I just saw the engagement picture, and congratulations to her.
Yeah.
She is now an engaged woman. As he popped the question to her at the Grand Canyon, how nice! As they were looking out over the view and showed a picture of him down on the knee presenting, and then the ring on the finger and everything else. So congratulations to our compadre there, Daryl Fast. She's off the market, guys. So don't try to be hitting on her when she's sitting with me at women's basketball. Okay.
so it's always a bold location to ask the question, because in surprise, someone could like throw their hands up and then just like, there it goes, it's gone. There goes. Like you got to tie the ring to a little fishing line and put it on your ankle to make sure that it doesn't fly
That
away.
would be great for photos. Well, I've got a string on the ring in case I want it back. You see?
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure if this is going to take, so congratulations to her, and we're very happy for her, as she will be. I'm assuming they're going to stay where they're at. I don't think they have any plans of moving because they've been living together for a few years. So there you go. But let's go ahead and get on in to some women's athletics, shall we, guys? As we are ready to do that and talk a little bit about what is happening. And I thought I'd kind of start it out maybe just a little bit today with the women's soccer. It's been seemed like forever since they played, and then I missed the last time that they did play, so unfortunately was not at that one. But they did get a nice win as they took on Syracuse and defeated them 2-1. And Case, I think you and Jared were out there and got post game comments with the seniors on the team.
Yeah.
Coach Ferguson Days chose not to speak with us again. How did that all go about? Did Matt just
Well,
kind of come to you, or what?
well, we're kind of seeing if how the game was going to go. Louisville was up 2-0. Syracuse not very good. Um, they were 2-9-2 entering the match. But Louisville was up 2-0, and Jared had texted me and said, we can talk to coach if you want. If not, I also get that because I figured we would show her that we remembered that she existed. If they won, whether she wanted to talk to us or not. Lo and behold, we'll get to that part of the story. But Matt was up in the press box and he goes, "I figure we'll talk to Karen as long as things hold." Uh, that was after Syracuse had scored their first goal, and right after he said that, Syracuse started driving, and I was like, "Matt, if they score, literally right after you say that, I'm gonna tell Karen it was your fault." uh, they didn't, obviously, and so we planned to head down there. Um, finally get down there, and we're anticipating maybe we'll talk to a senior, or a goal scorer. Betsy Huckabee scored her first goal for UofL, and coach Jared and I stepped down there, and Matt goes, "Well, change of plans. We're going to talk to the seniors." We're like, "Okay, which ones?" He said, "All of them."
Oh,
Cool.
yeah.
All right, great. That sounds wonderful. He's like, "So I'll go see how they want to do it, and I'll come back and I'll let you know. Whether they want to do pairs, or like two sets of three, or all at once, or what." He didn't come back and let us know. He just arrived with all 7 seniors, and we just kind of went for it. It was fun. I think it turned into a good interview. I think there were a few of them that had no real interest in being part of it. Uh, could have done our interview with just Raven Alexander, and I think gotten most of the same experience. But it was nice. It's nice to talk to him. Jared got a photo of all of them together, so it was good.
And that illustrious interview available on the Cardinal Couple website. If you want to go listen to the recap of that, they basically just kind of had one or two spokesmen for the whole group while they all 7 stood there and grinned at Jared. So that was kind of cool. But always good to do something like that. I mean, I don't know if other sports will follow suit and then on senior day bring all the seniors over to talk to me and Jared or you or whatever, but I certainly hope not because some of these schools got like 12 seniors on their roster.
Part of the problem at the Cooper Center that they're talking about for the upcoming renovation, which is public knowledge, by the way. It's not secret that I'm throwing out there, but they were like, "Yeah, we'd like to have enough lockers for the number of players we have on lacrosse." It's like, "Oh, you think you might want that?"
Yeah, that's kind of a important
Was
thing.
it was Teeter over there?
I don't know if he was there or not. He wasn't part of the walkthrough, but I think that the way that they described it was kind of all the coaches at the facility were involved in putting together what they kind of want for it. It's very scaled down from the thought that they were having with that project when I was first involved with it. But
Gotcha. Okay.
he probably was there. I mean, a few lacrosse players were there. I assume he was just tucked away in his office. There were a lot of offices that had closed doors.
And yeah, his is kind of secluded back there in the back where he's got a great overview of the lacrosse field. If you've ever been in his office before, his window just, I guess you would say it's his south window, peers out right on the field. And you,
So he's probably right next to that big cafeteria space they've got in there.
yeah, as you go down that hallway and take a left, and that's where lacrosse is. And back, they've got like a total of 4 offices there. One for the director of operations, 2 for each one of the assistant coaches, and then his all the way in the back of the room. Uh, I'm not sure. I haven't talked with the assistants much. Now that K Morrisette's gone, I haven't I don't really know him all that well. But it's always fun to go in and talk to Teeter, but he always wants to talk about horse racing instead of lacrosse. So anyway, there you have it. But nevertheless, moving back to women's soccer, a nice win for the Cards, and Jeff, this is a win that Louisville had to have to stay basically in the hunt for the ACC tournament, right?
Yeah, that's well, at least that's as I understand it. It was a team that had a similar record to ours, so Wasn't something that we thought of as a uh, trivial win, but a good team. I don't know, not a good team, but a decent team that we had to be careful of. But that was important for us. We to be able to continue to make progress and continue to stay alive for that postseason. We got to get a few more points on the table.
4 games left on the schedule, and today starts the first of three on the road, a 3 game road trip before we close the regular season out at home, as the Cards, as Case had mentioned a little earlier, have gone up to Boston College to go up there and take on the Eagles. The ACC hasn't been kind to Boston College. They've only scored 2 goals in amassing a 0-6 record against ACC foes. So, obviously, not what they wanted to see last time out. They went to Tallahassee to play, of course, a highly ranked, I think, number 2 or number 3 Florida State team, and took a 6-0 shellacking by the Noles. So, they came back home. They have had 6 days off, and will take on the Cards uh, tonight at 7 p.m. This is, if I'm not mistaken, their pink game up there. So that should be fun. And if you choose not to watch football, this will be available on the ACC Network Extra if you want to see if the Cards can extend their winning streak. What do we
Would be their
know?
first winning streak of the whole
Yeah, I
season.
was going to say, this winning streak that they've got so far, can they go any further with it? Uh, we'll find out. But Boston College is not a good team. Let's just kind of not beat around the bush here. They're not one of the teams that we have to worry about up at the top of the conference or anything. Uh, the thing is, how can the Cards do on the road, Case? That's going to be a big question right there.
Yeah, they've not won a road game so far this season. 0 and
Yeah.
5. Haven't even picked up a draw on the road. So it's going to be difficult. But at the same time, Boston College has not much to write home about. Louisville has to win this game. If they want to stay alive for the ACC tournament, they've got to win this game. You look at the ACC standings, Louisville's on 7 points. You can argue they should at least be on 8. Should probably be on 10. So 8 would be if they had tied Miami, not giving up a late goal. 10 if they had tied Miami and also beaten Virginia like they should have. Virginia is shockingly at 0-3-3 in the ACC. Just kind of wild there. But if Louisville can win this game, they'll move to 10 points, which would briefly put them in the top 10, depending on what, or the top 6, depending on what happens with Virginia Tech and Wake Forest. The Cards are also going to get Wake Forest in this road trip. They'll get Clemson in this road trip as well, but that would be a tall order to ask them to get
Yes, it would.
a point out of that. Clemson currently tied for second in the league, and 11-1-3 overall. So a very stiff test there. But if Louisville can win tonight, they go to 10 points. If they can beat Wake Forest or draw against Wake Forest, they're going to be hanging right there. And Duke is actually behind them in the standings, which is also surprising. But that's who they'll get in the regular season finale at Lynn Stadium. So, the Cards are still kind of alive. They need a little bit of help from Virginia Tech losing. They need to take care of business against Boston College, Wake Forest, and Duke, and we might end up with a much different into the season than we expected.
Yeah, because right now it's obviously not a season that many Cards women's soccer fans are going to look back on fondly. Maybe we can end it with a nice little 4 game package here where we're, let's face it, if we could win 3 of these here, I'll be pretty happy.
Oh, if you can win 3 of them, you're probably making the ACC tournament.
Yeah, I don't. Clemson is always tough in women's soccer, and they've always given us a pretty rough go of it, and it's there, so I'm not expecting a lot. But Boston College, Wake Forest, doable, doable, and then ending at Duke here. That'll be another tough one, but we'll see how it happens. Something that Louisville did in their win over Syracuse, before we get on out of here and move on to other sports, is that they actually scored for the first time since late September. They had gone through a streak where they had three ACC games where they failed to tally a goal. But against Syracuse, they were able to put up two and get that 2-1 win. Just wish them the best of luck and see what happens. We've talked about the fact that we haven't been in any communication with Karen Ferguson Days. I'm going to try and get with Matt a little bit and see if I can delve in to see if there's any more into this than the fact she just doesn't want to talk. We'll see what he says.
And Karen and I have our uh, thoughts, but
Yeah, she probably knows that she's gotten her pink slip already and is just trying to maybe.
the haste with which Josh Hurd made his way to the field after the Florida State match was odd. So, yeah, there's, yeah, who knows? We don't know. We don't actually know anything. Well, we'll see what we see.
Yeah, we did better against Florida State than Boston College did. If that means anything, but anyway,
Yeah.
does it mean anything when you're down in the lower? Well, we'll find out. We'll see. We wish, of course, always women's soccer the best. And just take a quick look at field hockey here as well. As field hockey obviously was up in the top 10. I don't know how that's going to change too much after the loss to Duke, but kind of a tough loss to Duke there. 2-1, guys, as they unfortunately went down there on the blue turf.
Yeah, I mean, and Duke is a good team. You know, with number 2 in the country, right? I mean, certainly nothing to sneeze at. We're number 5. We're not bad, but man, it sucks to be up and then have them come back and take over, right? That's always heartbreaking to have that happen. So,
For sure. And
yeah,
Duke, of course, coached by Pam Buston, who, if that name sounds familiar, well, guess what? She coached here and left us to go join the ACC. Well, guess what? We're in the ACC now. But Pam seems to be very happy at Duke. So good for them. We got Justine Sowry to come back after her stint at Massachusetts. She had actually been Pam Buston's assistant coach when Pam was here at Louisville. So the circle continues.
In fairness, she would have had to wait quite a while
yeah,
before, like, if she had stayed at Louisville, she would have had to wait quite a while before she got to the ACC.
That's true. Yeah, but she did want to get down there and make that move, and it's certainly, I think, been a move that Duke is playing worlds better than they did last year too. And I think one of their, it's either freshmen or sophomores, like leading the league in goals. So she's turned some things around there. Uh, Iowa coming up though. Iowa, this isn't going to be easy, guys. Not against Iowa.
nope.
Top 10, top 5 team, I think now.
Last I looked, I thought they were 6th, but
There's 6 on the
maybe
schedule.
down to 6 now.
yeah,
Okay. And you got to think to yourself, wow, what are they doing playing field hockey out in the Midwest that good?
What else are they gonna do? I don't know. Is
Yeah.
a
So
snarky
flat.
response? Yeah,
It's so flat. They don't have to try at all to
That's
have
right.
a field hockey field.
yeah.
But the Hawkeyes will come into town for a noon start, and I'm going to try and get out for that one. We'll see how things are going tomorrow morning and all, but Sonny and I would like to kind of go out and catch this one and see how it goes. And hopefully they'll do quite well at it. When we take a look at field hockey, I think the one thing that stands out, and we can discuss this a little bit, is that the defense has been great guns lately. If you go back and take a look at the record going all the way back to the start of the season, there's only been one school who scored, or 2 schools that have scored 2 goals on us. That's North Carolina and Duke. That's not bad, kids.
No, not at all.
And those 4 goals are 4 of um, only 10 that Louisville's given up all season.
And this was all being done too with a first-year goalkeeper, I might add, as Justine Sari, who was a former goalkeeper when she played years ago, did a long and exhaustive and extensive search to find a goalkeeper to come in, unsatisfied with what she had on the roster. And I don't mean that in a mad way or a bad way. It's just that she wanted somebody who was a little bit better than what she had coming back. And I think she certainly found one. Uh, the
Jared and
big,
I joked on Sunday that she's already got next year's lined up
yeah, I would be surprised.
with Central Michigan picking up 19 saves against the Cards on Sunday.
Yeah.
Well, she tends to kind of procrastinate on these a little bit, so I wouldn't say so. You never know. But as we take a look at it, infield hockey, guys, we got a total of 4 games left on the regular schedule before the Cards go into ACC tournament play. The good thing is we're starting the first of a 3-game homestand, which will be Iowa, Syracuse, and then Appalachian State comes in approximately a week from Sunday. And that's one of the things that I guess is different in field hockey is you do slide in some of these games that are not conference games late into the season. And that's always kind of intrigued me, but when you take a look at it, I think there's only 7 schools.
Yeah, I think that may play into that, and in conferences that have more participation in the sport, they may not do the same sort of thing. But yeah, it's a little unusual to see that.
And so we'll see what happens with that. A very good Iowa team coming in. And it's free attendance, so if you're not doing anything around the noon hour tomorrow, head on out to Traeger and watch this one. It should be a fun one. I don't think it's going to be too unpleasant out, although it may be still a bit chilly at noon. I think 60 degrees. That's fine, right? We've seen field hockey played in a lot colder conditions. So
high tomorrow is 58.
So it's got close to 60. Very good. What do you figure then? Probably around noon it'll be in the 50s somewhere.
Yeah, mid 50s most likely.
Yeah. So not bad. Maybe you want to wear a little jacket or something if you do go. Big sweatshirt, hoodie or something, just to kind of fight the chill. But come on out and watch this team because certainly some very, very good players on this team, and certainly some players that I think that I just hope we don't have to do a senior interview with them, all their players. That could take for hours. Because they do have some outspoken players on their team for sure. Let's go ahead and moving on out of that, wishing field hockey the best of luck against the Iowa Hawkeyes and head on over to volleyball, where last night the Cards brought
Not
in
on
Nemesis
Floyd Street.
Pitt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Down at the KFC Yum Center. Down where I was promised free parking and did not get it.
It's almost Floyd Street. You could almost take Floyd Street out of the
Yeah,
way.
it's not far off, but not quite the same.
Yeah, I mean, you could go that way. It takes considerably longer than to take the interstate over and get the 3rd Street exit. And then I go ahead and park in that 3rd Street garage, which is underneath the stadium. And supposedly I was set up for free parking there. Not. And then was told I had free parking once I got in by a nameless person. I said, no, I didn't. She goes, yes, you did. I told them.
Should ask if they would validate.
Yeah.
She showed me the list, and I was not on the list, and so I had to shell out the money to park there. Yeah. So I'm going to be eating a whole lot of food here pregame to make up for the money I spent to park here.
I would like 8 cookies.
Yeah.
Time. I will
And
not settle for any fewer than 8.
Gasani went to go fetch cookies at halftime, and the Pitt fans that were kind of sitting behind us there were just in awe. She's bringing back cookies. Where'd you get those cookies, ma'am? And I'm like, well, These are for good boys and girls, not for bad fans who sit behind us and say disparaging things about our squad. I didn't do that. They were just amazed that the media got cookies. So maybe they don't have. Maybe there's a cookie shortage in Pittsburgh. I don't know. But
Yeah,
Jeff, a
that's right.
three-set sweep for the Cards over the Panthers. It was a fun one. The crowd was incredible.
Three set
Your
sweep,
thoughts?
but don't for a minute think that it was a blowout because they were the scores were not they were close scores within those sets. So a solid win. It's good to get the win against a very good team that continues to be very good. We were talking a little bit before the show started. They're a young team, a lot of freshmen that they're kind of relying on, but and they're going to be good for the coming years. But for this year, they may be not quite what they were last year, but still a really good win. They're a top 10 team, deservedly so, and it looks good on our postseason resume. Um, the funk that we had talked about seems to be pretty much gone, with maybe a little bit of a hangover from it in the first 5 points of the match that Pitt won and getting out to a 5-0 lead to begin with. But other than that, we looked crisp, looked like we were playing well. Anna Beer certainly back in form, hitting what did she hit? 5 something, 4 something? Definitely, I don't have the stat sheet in front of me right now.
Anna DeBeer hit 448.
Yeah, so pretty impressive numbers there. So
Indeed.
between her and Carrot Cressy, they were just bombing those things down. So
I saw Keith Wynn tweet last night. He said, "Cara Cressy is what I imagine a cheat code in volleyball would look like."
yeah, she did. Kara only had one error, and I think it was like 10 or 14.
10 of 14 with one error.
With one
hit
error,
643.
Yeah. That's impressive numbers. So my mother and I turned to each other. We were like, "Can we just have Kara hit every offensive shot because it seems to work."
So Reese Robbins is also a middle. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Or is she an outside?
She was a middle in high school and club, but she's been playing right side for us.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I'm still not going to count her because she was only one of two. But
Yeah.
I was going to say, other than middles, Anna DeBeer had the highest hitting percentage, which is saying something because Charity Looper also hit 364 and Iko Jones also hit 353.
Yeah.
So the pin hitters were on one, as the kids would say. Last night, Louisville just kind of doing whatever they wanted. It seems offensively, but also kind of defensively. Pitt was, or on defense, Louisville was also allowing Pitt to find a lot of holes.
It was a slow start for the Cards to begin the match, though, as Pittsburgh came out obviously wanting to shut the crowd up that was in the KFCM Center. They jumped out and took a 5-0 lead, and then led 7-1 at one point in time in the first match. And we were all kind of looking at each other down on Media Row and kind of like, huh? What's going on here? The Pitt fans behind us were getting loud and noisy and rowdy. I had the pleasure, guys, to sit next to the editor and chief, bottle washer at Volleyball Magazine, who was telling me it was his first time ever in the KFCM Center. And he said, why don't they play all their games here with this type of crowd? And I'm like, well, one thing probably is working out the financial deal on it. That's my guess.
In the past, haven't gotten that sort of crowd at the KFCM Center on a regular basis.
I maintain that the exclusivity is part of what gets the crowds to be so large at the Center.
I think there's an argument to be made there for that. Yeah. Agreed.
I mean, they turned out. Katie George mentioned it whenever they were playing Kentucky.
Yeah, I think it was the one.
She mentioned, that when they played there, they would turn out 4,000 or 5,000 people per match, but 4,000 or 5,000 people in the Yum Center looks empty. Even if you have the upper bowl completely curtained out, it doesn't feel like that. And for your Tuesday night match against Dayton, Louisville's probably not turning out 12,000.
Should be, because Dayton usually pretty good.
Yeah, but they're not going to
Yeah.
be a team. It's not Kentucky, it's not Pitt,
Yeah.
it's not Stanford,
Yeah.
and so as soon as that happens once, then people are like, oh well, maybe we don't have to turn out so much, and everybody can go to any game that they want to, which means they're not going to get all excited to go to I think the Yum Center. They tried it and it didn't work. Louisville wasn't bad. It's not like Louisville was not good when Katie George and company were here. So
It
it's
was
representative
we
of
were
what
a
the crowd would be.
Midland team in those days. It's certainly the success we've had in recent years. I think we would routine I think we typically our average then was 2,000 to 3,000. I think we would routinely come out with 5 or 6, which is on par with what women's basketball does. The later in the season, women's basketball tends to get up into the 7, 8, 9 sort of territory, but early in the season, you may see 5 or 6,000 out there. So I think it's something that could be brought up again potentially, and might be workable at this point with the improved fortunes of the program, but maybe not.
I think that both teams could benefit from the Yum Center not being like the options not being Cardinal Arena, Yum Center.
Yeah, agreed.
Louisville's average attendance last season 78,36.
Of course, that's skewed with the KFC Center games, obviously, but certainly
Sorry,
it
that
is.
was women's basketball.
That was women's basketball. Yeah,
But that was
withdrawal.
also from 2017,
okay, I thought you-
2017, 2018. So let me try to find a current one and not whatever that garbage was.
Yeah. It's going to be around in that number, I think, still.
Got the NCAA one here, so see
Yeah.
if I can find carry on.
The Cards certainly got a nice comeback, though, in set one, as they started matching Pitt with a few side outs and such, and then got this thing back to where they had tied it up at 18-18 in the first set. Pitt then basically going into collapse mode after that. The Cards ended up taking pretty much 7 of the next 10
Did we
points.
lose
lost.
Solly?
I think we may have.
Oh, no.
What's up?
Oh, wait.
Okay.
He's here. We lost you for a second. You said Pitt went into collapse mode, and then you disappeared.
Nope. Now we've lost him. Yeah. So, I mean, to pick up his thought, I mean, there was, I don't know that I would call it collapse mode particularly, but certainly, the Louisville showed that they could battle back, and I think Pitt's will was a little bit weak in that. He never gave up. That team never gave up in the whole match. They were playing competitive through all of it, but they certainly weren't dominating like they did in those first 5 points. And some of that is Louisville's play, some of that is their play, but certainly had some challenges on their defensive end that Anna DeBeer was able to find holes pretty routinely. So, what are your thoughts, Case?
Yeah, you look at that first 5 points. I think Louisville or Pitt, I should say, they had a game plan, and you see game plans like this in all kinds of sports when a team is going up against a rival or a really strong team. You want to punch the opponent in the mouth and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Pitt takes a 5-point lead. They get 2 blocks in that time. Louisville has 3 errors. Pitt got 3 blocks for the entire match. So 2 of those blocks, 2 of their 3 blocks come in the first 5 points. Louisville only committed 11 errors in the entire match. So 3 of their 11 errors come in the first 5 points. And so Louisville, they weathered that punch in the face, and then they got down to business and worked back. And like you mentioned, it was not a runaway for Louisville. They win. Surprisingly, they win the first set by the most that they would win any set by. They win 21, 23, 22, I think is the final number. So Pitt hung around, but Louisville was the better team, and they showed it, and they won the match.
Yeah, absolutely. And like in the third set, Louisville climbs out relatively early to that 3 to 4 point lead, and then just maintains that through the whole set. They never really grew that lead anymore. But Pitt was also not able to ever dig into that. So I think that's really shows kind of the grit of the team to be able to say, okay, we're going to get into the lead, we're going to hang on to it, we're going to hang on tight and not let go of it. Where some other teams, if you're not able to grow that lead, might start losing a little confidence in their play. So
third set, no team won more than 2 points in a row.
Yeah, it was definitely back and forth,
including Louisville to take the three to get up to the 3-point lead. They just had one extra 2-point run.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's wild to look through that play by play and say, okay, so you won the serve, and then you won a serve, and then you gave it back. Like there's no really
the side out
long
percentage
run.
was really high in that third set for sure on both sides. Yeah, to be fair.
The other thing I was looking at with this, with last night's results, is that Georgia Tech brought in Florida State and they beat them in 5 sets. So
I caught the end of that one on after I got back home, and it was a exciting match, tough match. Win an extra point in the 5th set. It was a battle between those two. Florida State's a bit of a conundrum. They lost several matches out of conference play, but they went into that Georgia Tech match undefeated in conference. They hadn't played any of the real top conference competition. Georgia Tech was the first one, but
maybe their lead in the league might have been a bit fake.
Well, yeah, we may see them come back to earth a little bit in the conference standings, but they were atop the conference standings going into that match. With everybody else other than Pitt having taken the loss. So we're now, as I mentioned in my article, we're now in a log jam at the top at 6-1 with Florida State, Georgia Tech, Pitt, and Louisville, which were the 2 big matches last night. So
yeah. You mentioned some head scratchers from Florida State. They lost to SMU, Auburn, both at home. They lost to Florida at home. They lost
losing
to
Florida
UCF.
is not that bad.
True. Rivalry match. They've taken both of their rivals to 5 sets.
Yeah.
They lost in 5 to Florida. They beat Miami in 5 in Coral Gables. They lost to UCF in Orlando, which is basically at home.
Yeah.
In Florida there.
Nearby.
And then they went to TCU, and they lost to TCU and Hawaii. So their non-conference is just odd.
Yeah, it's all over the place. Hawaii's not bad. TCU is okay. Miami lost last night to Clemson, so I'm not so sure what's going on there. I haven't watched any of their matches yet this year to really get a kind of a subjective or sort of a look on what they're doing. But
it looked like they were going to blow out Florida State after the first set when they played. I had that one turned on, and they did not do that. So you've got now 4 teams at 6-1. And then the next highest team is Wake Forest at 5-3. So
and they're only leading that next bunch because they've got
one extra win
in there. The others are 4-3.
Yes, it's going to be 4 teams at 6-1, probably 4 teams at 5-3, and the ACC is just a dogfight this season. It looks like.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we'd be remiss if we didn't move on to women's basketball. Paulie National wanted to cover that. The big news for women's basketball this week, which I saw on Twitter, and then in my tiredness when I went to write Thursday's article, completely forgot about.
I've done that.
So I made up for it. I did a lot of stat compilation and information compilation for Jared. But the big news is that Louisville lands a commitment from Tajana Avant-Roberts, a 2024 guard. She's number 25 in the ESPN Hoop Girls rankings. She's the number 14 guard, the number 8 guard if you remove point guards only. And then she could be pretty good. She's starting her senior season. She's going to play at IMG Academy. She moved from La Jolla, California, where she played for La Jolla Country Day. Interestingly, her best season was her sophomore season. Her averages slipped a bit as a junior, but in 3 seasons, she averaged 12.6 points, 5 rebounds, 2.9 assists, 1.8 steals, and only 1.3 turnovers. So I think that we're probably looking at Avant-Roberts. It's also kind of weird. I've seen some things listed, some places where she's listed as just Tajana Roberts, some places she's listed as Tajana Avant Roberts. I think it's going to be Avant Roberts. That's what she's going to go with. That's what ESPN has her listed as. So I think that's probably where we'll land there.
Yeah.
But
it may be a case of the first time somebody meets her to just ask
yeah,
what's
that's
the
true too.
preferred. Yeah.
That's true too. So I think that we're probably looking at her coming in as a combo guard off the ball, but I don't know. I mean, next season, I think we're still going to be in the same position we're in this season, where we don't really know who's going to play point guard for the team until right up until the season starts.
Right.
She won the U17 Nike EYBL Nationals with one of her club teams. I think that she's going to be a really big addition, and I think it's a huge land for Kentucky, especially when you look at who she picked Louisville over, with her being a Nike recruit, being in that Nike family. Duke and Kentucky,
Adidas school. Oh yeah.
Duke and Kentucky were in her top 5.
Yeah.
She also picked Louisville over Cal and Virginia Tech, so didn't choose to go back home,
Yeah.
which I think is not that surprising when you consider she transferred to IMG anyway.
Which that's like in Florida, right?
Right. She already moved across the country for high school, so I wouldn't say that there was a huge draw from Cal. Maybe a little bit more surprised that SC wasn't in the conversation, but to get I know there's been a lot of talk about Jeff Walls, and maybe his ability to land some of these players when you've got coaches like Don Staley, Kara Lawson. I'm blanking on Kentucky's coach's name right now. Esley.
I don't know.
Gosh,
drawing a blank.
Yeah, I know, but
all
a bunch
significant
of players
that were all really good guards. Yeah,
right. So for Jeff to still be able to land Jeff Walls to still be able to land a player of this caliber, and when actively recruiting against teams like that, I think it says a lot. Virginia Tech is an interesting inclusion in there. It's an odd spot. So as something that Jared mentioned that I had forgotten about, because Cal is now a member of the ACC starting next season, Louisville will play all 4 teams that Roberts picked them over. So it's going to be interesting. But what do you think about Louisville's new commitment?
I got to figure out this team's roster first, this year's roster first. But the numbers sound great. We'll be interested to see her play and maybe put some a little more subjective sort of viewpoint on that. But the numbers are certainly impressive. Potentially, maybe some other guards out there that we might see come in 2024 as well. But be interesting to see how she does and stacks up against them.
Agree. It sounds like we're not going to get Pauly back.
Yeah,
unfortunately, lost out to another computer issue. Poor guy.
Yeah.
But we are coming up on the noon hour, so headed into final thoughts. Jeff, you want to go ahead and start?
Yeah, I'm going to go off the kind of get my words out here. Kind of outside of our normal realm, I'm going to comment on a volleyball match last night for Evansville Purple Aces. They brought in University of Illinois Chicago. This is a lower level competition, but a 5-set win for the Purple Aces. But listen to these set scores: 22-25, 25-22, 27-25, 21-25. And Case, I'll let you take a guess at what you think the 5th set score was.
It could go 2 ways. So it could have gone to extra volleyball, or it could have been just an absolute blowout in a way that nobody would expect. So I'm going to go with the blowout and say 15-4.
Yeah, kind of like the Pitt Louisville semifinal match last year. Yeah.
Yep.
No, it was 36-34.
Well, I told you there was two
Yeah,
ways
it
to
was
go,
one or
and it
two
went
ways.
the other
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
There-
36-34 and what's ostensibly a 15-point match set. So
Yeah, there was no way that was going to be the way that match was going. There was no way that fifth set was going to be 15-11.
right,
It wasn't going to
exactly.
be
Yeah,
something normal.
yeah, yeah. So pretty impressive for the Purple Aces. Also, shout out to Claire Chassé doing great things in Athletes Unlimited. If you haven't checked that out, UofL alumna. She's down there. She won again, MVP one. Vote in for the match last night, which gets her a bunch of points. So she's currently sitting in sixth in the overall standings in Athletes Unlimited as a rookie. So that's pretty cool. Way to go!
Yeah, that AU is interesting.
Yeah, bizarre scoring system.
Well, and I've only watched I think one match of any of the sports, and it just happened to be on TV whenever I was out to dinner earlier this summer. It was lacrosse AU,
Mm-hmm.
and that sport seems just so odd for the format that they have. There's so many players on the field. It's so dependent on, you know,
Yeah,
on team chemistry and stuff like that. So I just it's very odd. Oh, anyway, looking at my final thoughts, just give a shout out to the women's swimming team who had a tough loss in that matchup against Tennessee the other day. Lost by just 4 points.
Heartbreaker.
In a head-to-head matchup there. I mentioned in the article, Gabby Albiero really deserves kind of as much credit as we've given to swimmers like Mallory Comerford and
Yeah.
Kelsey World Dahlia, right?
Yes.
Isn't that's
Yeah.
right.
Correct.
She hasn't had kind of the national accolades to earn maybe that recognition amongst the normal Louisville fans, but she's really been carrying the team since arriving as a freshman. So hopefully this can be the season that she picks those up and can start to get her flowers. I'll also correct myself.
Her parents were at the Arthur and his wife's name. I was forgetting his wife's name. We're at the volleyball match last night. So
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
I assume she was there then too.
Probably. I didn't see her, but yeah, probably was there.
To correct myself from earlier, I did get the updated attendance numbers. Louisville this is 21-22, so still not last year's, but this is from NCAA, so it's the best ones I could find. They averaged 83.61 in home attendance.
Yeah.
So there's still that need for 10 to 12. I think is the right number for some other arena that can host, and then you could still have big matches at the M Center.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to somebody the other day. I think it was at the women's soccer. We were just kind of bandying about what might happen across the field from where we were sitting in the press box, and they argued that you can't move women's basketball out of the M Center at this point once they've gotten accustomed to it. And it's like, well, if you build a really nice arena, really nice smaller arena, sure you could. Yeah. So who knows? But that'll do it for this week's episode of the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour podcast. Thank everybody for joining us, and unless you know something we don't, we'll see you next time.